views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Gary Axelbank, filling in for Darren Jaime today, and we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up on today's show, we'll sit down with the president of Lehman College to discuss the upcoming Lehman Lecture taking place on campus later this week. Plus, we'll have an update on what's been going on throughout the borough of the Bronx. After that, we'll sit down with our political commentator, Lee Bynes, and we'll discuss President Trump's latest tweets on a government shutdown, and we'll discuss the latest on the prospects for a health care reform bill. May is Foster Care Awareness Month, and we'll hear how one organization goes about helping children in foster care and also those who want to become foster parents. And we'll hear about an event that encourages teens to stay fit and healthy. All this and much more is headed your way because we are now officially open. This year, the annual Lehman Lecture will feature freshman Congressman Adriano Espaillat of New York's 13th Congressional District. He is the nation's first formally undocumented immigrant to serve as congressman. And here to tell us more about the event and much more is Lehman College President Jose Luis Cruz. President Cruz, nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Before we talk about the Lehman Lecture, which I know you're excited about, frankly, as a Lehman alum, I'm excited about it. I just get the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about your first year as Lehman College president. What has been most invigorating about being president at Lehman College?
There are many things. I would say that just the people in our campus, the faculty, the staffs, the students, the people I have met in the Bronx community, from our elected officials to our organizers to nonprofit employees that are doing so much to help the Bronx and surrounding communities. That's been the most invigorating part of my presidency thus far.
It's a huge community. Now, I know you were at Cal State Fullerton. Is there a comparison, similarities, or differences? Is it a whole different experience for you? Just characterize what it's been like for you.
Being part of a community of teachers, scholars, and learners, there will always be a lot of similarities between institutions of higher education. But I would say that some other similarities are around the fact that the communities are very diverse, both in Southern California as well as in the city of New York. But the inclusiveness of the community that we live in is much different. And so I feel the warmth, I feel the aspirations, I feel the need of others to help ensure that people can reach their full potential to a degree that I haven't felt before in any of the places I have lived or worked in.
You know, I was thinking about you completing your first year, and I know you had done a State of the College address not too long ago, and you talked about the importance of graduation, and you talked about the importance of completing, because nobody wants to see somebody start college and not complete, because nobody gets anything out of that. I was thinking that maybe when you get to graduation this year, you're going to be as excited, maybe even more excited than the students who are going to be in front of you.
That is very right. We are looking on June 1st, our commencement ceremony, to be the largest ever in the history of Lehman College.
Wow.
We're expecting 30.
I want to stand up and applaud for that.
Yes, yes.
The crew does.
They are. So we expect approximately 3,300 students to get their degrees. And as you know, the value of the Lehman education has been widely documented. Just recently, the New York Times put out a piece that showed that Lehman College is number 4 in the country in terms of our historical ability to propel students from the lowest income brackets to the upper middle class. So we're very proud of that role that we play.
I would say you're looking across the table at somebody who embodies some of that,
Very good.
I would think. Let's talk about the Lehman Lecture. This is going to be your first one. This is really kind of a landmark moment for the college every year. Before we get into Congressman Espaillat and why it's so significant for him and why it's so appropriate, what about the lecture makes it as significant as it is?
Well, the lecture was put in place to memorialize our namesake, Herbert H. Lehman, who, as you know, was a governor of New York State, a U.S. Senator, humanitarian, an advocate, fierce advocate for the rights of immigrants and for the eradication of social injustice. And those values that he represented are embodied now in the way that Lehman College does its work. So we pause every year to do the Lehman Memorial Lecture. We identify a distinguished person that we feel embodies those principles, and we give them an opportunity to provide us some remarks that will illuminate a path forward that will help us ensure that Lehman's legacy continues forward.
And really, who more appropriate than the first Dominican congressman in the history of the United States, and also the first formally undocumented congressman, as I indicated at the top of the show. In this day and age, when that is really the center of the dialogue, I mean, what could be more appropriate?
That is right. I sent a campus email message a few months ago, right after the first travel ban was put in place. And I mentioned there that I had struggled to figure out how to communicate a Welcome to Spring 2017 message to the campus, given all the turmoil that we were experiencing. And it just so happens that that same day, when we had all this activism across airports across the country, I was invited to Espaillat's swearing-in ceremony here in the Bronx.
And so the light bulb lit, right?
Right, and there you could see that even with all this turmoil that we're facing, the fact that people of all walks of life were there, the fact that they knew that they had now a former undocumented immigrant serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, that was reason for celebration, because we knew that we would have a voice in Congress that would make sure that these attacks could be somehow defended against. And so, as you suggested, it's the right person at the right time to help ensure that Herbert H. Lehman's legacy moves forward.
You know, I attended Lehman, I'll give a personal note here, I attended Lehman during really a different era. It was in the early 70s, not to give my age away or anything like that. And it was a different climate. But the one thing I remember, and I still, and folks who have watched me on TV know that I still take to heart, is that there's an edge, there's a point of view. And I learned that from, frankly, being an English major at Lehman College. Talk to me about what you expect from Congressman Espaillat and how that fits in Lehman's mission, in Lehman's history, and Lehman's legacy.
So the title of Congressman Espaillat's talk will be Fighting for the America That I Know. And so it's the America that he knows from the perspective of someone that came from another country as an immigrant and was able to aspire to something bigger and was given the support and the conditions to be able to fulfill his full potential. And so I think that will resonate broadly with our campus community, because that's what we're about. We're about expanding opportunity. We're about eradicating social injustice, eliminating achievement gaps among groups of students and people. So I believe that his message will resonate and will be an inspiration as we head into the second part of our semester here at Lehman College.
It's always interesting to me how you know, things seem to stitch together. So we talk about the diversity of the campus. We talked about kind of you know, the desire for social justice, and now we have somebody who embodies really that very you know, value. You made a really strong point, you addressed it at the beginning of this, about completion and about people who graduate. Talk to me about why you have so many people who have graduated this time and your own objective to increase that number and those numbers as you go on in your tenure here at Lehman.
I think that Lehman College over the last few years has really focused on being very intentional about providing the support students need to complete, and to complete in a timely manner. And so we're seeing that our graduation rates are going up because of these supports. But also we have to understand that our students, their own aspirations, their own motivations have also played a big part as they come to realize that a degree from Lehman is not only something good to have, but also necessary to have if you want to not only embark in a career and also have a good civic engagement part of your life there. So I think it's a combination of the students doing more and the institutions stepping up. And so what we'd like to do now is, recognizing the value of the education that Lehman provides, is to commit that by the year 2030, we will double the number of high-quality degrees and credentials that we produce. And if we do that, we will have 90,000 more students and citizens serving the Bronx and communities that will have the value of a Lehman education.
As a Bronxite, as an American, I can't find, and certainly as a Lehman graduate and alum, I couldn't think of anything more exciting. So let's invite people formally. When and where is the Lehman Lecture? And anybody can attend, right?
Anybody can attend. The Lehman Lecture is this Friday at 11 a.m. in the Lovinger Theater. You can go on our website, lehman.cuny.edu, and you will find information about how to RSVP. And come join us in this celebration.
President Cruz of Lehman College, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to have you, and I think I speak for everybody at BronxNet. Don't be a stranger. We want you here. This, of course, we're located here on your campus, on our campus, and we really want to have you back in any number of formats that make sense.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Folks, we'll have to take a quick break, but we will be right back with more Open right after this.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Please have a seat. I'll be honest. Your resume is not what I'm used to.
I know.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need a hard worker.
Good. I've got 2 part-time jobs and to help my parents pay the bills.
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find, cultivate, and train a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Open. Many groups across the United States, including here in New York City, gathered at Foley Square in Manhattan for May Day, which is also known as International Workers' Day. This year, many marched, not only for the rights of workers, but for the rights of immigrants. Mayor Bill de Blasio was one of the marchers, and he also spoke at the event. He said, guess what? There are a lot more of us than there are Donald Trump supporters. At least 30 arrests were made during the May Day rallies in New York City. According to the New York State Department of Labor, the borough of the Bronx unemployment rate has fallen to 5.7% in March, compared to 6.5% in February. This is the lowest unemployment rate that the Bronx has ever seen. In addition to having the lowest unemployment rate, the State Department of Labor also said that in March, 584,000 Bronxites were employed, which is the highest number ever. And overall, the labor participation rate of more than 619,000 also set a borough record. A glowing Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr., expressed his gratitude to community officials and businesses and said, "These statistics are worthy of celebration, and we can all be proud of our success." During the weekend, New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill reached out to hundreds of church leaders in the Bronx to discuss ways to keep the community safe. The commissioner said that crime in New York City has dropped, but gun violence remains an issue. Also, when asked if police can interfere with a person being approached by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the commissioner said that he could not commit to that, but would commit to working with the churches to keep the city safe. This did not satisfy some who were in attendance. Many people who commute on Amtrak might be upset this summer. According to the New York Times, Amtrak plans 3 weeks of track repairs at Penn Station. Amtrak said repairs are needed throughout the system. Officials of the 3 commuter railroads plan to meet to discuss a final schedule, but there is no doubt that travel for commuters will be disrupted. Community leaders and community members gathered together with the First Lady of New York to discuss a multi-agency effort to fight the addiction of opioids. Arlene Makoko has the story.
It's a health crisis being felt across all 5 boroughs, and City Hall is taking action.
The Bronx has been especially hard hit, really, and you know that. I can see it on your faces. And you know what's especially tragic about those deaths is that they're all preventable.
New York City First Lady Chirlane McCray was at the Latino Pastoral Action Center to share about a multi-agency effort in combating this addiction and its use.
Let's see, we lost approximately 1,300 people last year. That's nearly 4 people every day. And again, this is preventable. That's why we're asking people to carry naloxone, and we're making it available to people and our chain pharmacies like CVS, Walgreens, Duane Reade.
And hosting the event, New York City Council member Vanessa Gibson, joined by Bronx DA Darcel Clark, who praised the First Lady for launching Thrive NYC in 2013, an initiative to better link New Yorkers suffering from mental illness to city services. The evening was also about announcing a new hotline, 1-888-NYC-WELL.
We've launched 54 initiatives with a commitment of almost $1 billion to really transform the way people have access to and engage with mental health services. And a big part of that is talking about it.
The First Lady will be traveling throughout New York City. The Bronx here was her first stop to talk about some of the initiatives, with the latest, the 1-888-NYC-WELL, a program that links trained professionals with everyday New Yorkers. For BronxNet, this is Arlene.
We'll take a quick break, but we will be right back with more on Open.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family? This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort,
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything. Oh, sorry.
Go along, son! It's always worth it.
Whoa, faster!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes, B, console her,
don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Earlier this week, President Trump tweeted that the United States needs, quote, a good shutdown this fall to fix the mess in Congress. The tweets were apparently aimed at defending a compromised spending package that Congress is likely to clear this week, but does not accomplish some of Trump's goals, such as building the wall between the United States and Mexico. Plus, it's questionable whether the Republicans have the votes for the health reform they are seeking. Joining us to talk about these issues, please welcome to Open, the owner of Retro Vision Media. Welcome back, Lee Bynes. Nice to have you.
Good to be back.
So what do you make of a president who talks openly about shutting down Congress and says, you know what, and shutting down the government, you know what, this might actually be a good idea?
Well, I think he needs a lesson in counting, for number one. He should have known going into this budget process that he didn't have enough votes, a supermajority in the Senate in order to get what he wanted. The Democrats finally had a little power, and they were able to sit on their hands and not do anything. So in not doing so, it forced him to kind of give up a lot of things that he wanted to get through on the budget, save for the military carve-out for $24-some-odd billion. But yeah, if he had any idea how Congress really worked, he would not have made that statement. Moreover, the fact that he's running the show. The Republicans have the House, they have the Senate, and the White House. If he shuts the government down, it's on the Republicans 100%. If the government is shut down, we're talking about 800,000 federal employees that'll be out of work, and as many as another million placed on furlough where they wouldn't have any idea when they were going to get paid. If he wants to walk into a situation like that either now or in September, it boggles the mind.
Does that become an effective tactic?
Threatening your own party? I don't think so. I think what he's essentially doing is just making a lot of enemies for himself on his side of the aisle. And a lot of people are very, very nervous whether they're willing to come out and speak in front of the cameras or not. But more and more people in the administration is having to come out and explain what he really meant on a daily basis, and I think that's wearing thin.
The laws of our country state that we need 60 votes in order to pass legislation. The president tweeted very recently that he decried that idea, and he said, you know what, maybe we ought to just make it a simple majority. And this was reflected by some of his supporters and some of his assistants. What do you make of that, number one? And number two, is that actually possible for them to get into the rules and change those rules?
Well, the supermajority rule has been in effect for a long time for one simple purpose, is to make sure that you come as close to a mandate on whatever legislation or whatever person being placed into office through a nomination process as you could possibly get. If you drop it down to 51%, like they had to do to get Neil Gorsuch approved, if you place that in the legislative process, you're going to find even more chaos than exists right now. And that's difficult to imagine, but that's what he wants to do.
On a similar note, Reince Priebus talked about actually changing the First Amendment of the Constitution, making it so that the government was going to be able to sue reporters or commentators or journalists who publish things that the government doesn't necessarily agree with. You know, he can say that the process of, changing an amendment to the Constitution is not as easy as just like raising a couple of hands and
no, and
voting.
you know what? Even though that's a good thing, that's going to be difficult for them to do. It's nerve-wracking that they're trying.
That they would even suggest.
That they would even make the suggestion. And especially this week, as a matter of fact, this is a week of supporting freedom of the press globally for a lot of things that have been happening in a lot of the countries that Donald Trump himself are actually supporting, in Egypt and Turkey. That, as a matter of fact, have been shutting down the internet and locking up journalists on a regular basis, and opposition parties and things like that, because they don't like what's happening. So for Donald Trump to be putting forth an idea like this in this particular environment is strange, to say the least.
It's been reported, I think it was literally yesterday, that President Trump had a conversation with Vladimir Putin in Russia, and they talked about having either a conference or getting the two governments together to figure out how to sort through Syria. There were many people who were very skeptical that this could be done. On the other hand, dialogue has to be seen as a good thing. What do you make of this, and are there prospects for helping to sort out what might happen in Syria if the United States and Russia, with President Trump and Vladimir Putin, get together?
Well, considering the United States and Russia.
I guess I'm asking you to throw him a bone.
Well, considering the United States,
but valid or not, I don't know. Okay.
Well, the two nations are opposite, diametrically opposed to what's happening in Syria right now. I don't see any deals to be made there. If Donald Trump considers himself the deal maker in chief, but he hasn't really made too many deals lately, if any at all, quite frankly. So not having access to the data, what actually transpired in that phone call, I would think it was more show and tell than any substance moving forward.
Why do you think things like the dialogue the president had over the Civil War and Andrew Jackson, which just were not historically correct and not based on facts that many of us have learned in whether it be grade school, middle school, or high school or college. What do you make about the fact that he says those things and yet his supporters don't seem bothered by that? That to me is a very strange phenomenon. One would think that anybody, regardless of political party, would want their president to be historically correct, knowledgeable, and when they show that they're not so, would say, you know what, maybe this isn't the right guy. But the polls show the supporters are still right with him.
Well, you know what, I do a daily podcast at my website, Issues Under Fire, and I referred to Donald Trump, and I did not want to seem insulting as an ignoramus. That's the root of it, is ignorant. And as a kid growing up, my parents used to tell me all the time that money was the root of all evil. That's not true. Ignorance is the root of all evil, and that's one of the reasons why I believe there's so many people are kind of like upset when they realize his learning curve is huge, literally huge. And one of the reasons I believe, and I don't want to be insulting to his supporters like Hillary Clinton, call them deplorable or anything like that, but his base support is high school educated white males not doing very well in the country, and they may suffer from the same degree of ignorance that Donald Trump does. So when he says these things, they're not fact-checking, so that's why his support is holding.
The Republicans are trying everything they can to get a reform health bill passed. You read one thing one day, then something different the next day. What do you think the prospects are? Because they're talking about, I guess, today's Wednesday, so maybe even by Thursday, before they take a break in Congress, that they actually would have a reform bill. What do you think?
Well, you know what, several weeks ago I was on this show, and we were talking about the exact same thing prior to Congress leaving for their Easter break. They went and tried to push forward something so that they would at least possibly have something to tell their constituents when they got back and didn't have to face holy hell. We're seeing that same thing occurring right now this week, and they're supposed to leave on Thursday to take off another week. Those people have to go back to their constituents and explain to them why nothing's been done. If they can go back and say that we're still working on it, that gives them another week to breathe. But eventually, I believe that the country's going to come to the conclusion that there is no plan. There never has a plan. Never has been a plan. The only plan that they really had to had envisioned was repealing it, but there was no replacement. It just does not exist. It doesn't exist in a capitalist system. We discussed this before. It cannot happen.
They're stuck on pre-existing conditions. It seems like that is, I guess there are many sticking points, but that is the central one, certainly, that's being reported right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way that this could pass and remove and include a removal of pre-existing conditions?
Doubtful. The numbers, the statistics, the polls don't support it. We have about only 17% of the people polled agreed with the previous plan that they tried to get through. That's why it didn't get through. I don't think they made it any better. I don't see it going any further. Essentially, we're going to have Obamacare, like it or not. It's going to have to be repaired, not replaced.
Lee Bynes from Retrovision Media, thank you so much. It's always great to have you, and he says what he thinks. Isn't it a beautiful thing? Folks, stay tuned. We will be right back with more Open right after these messages.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Hey, welcome back to Open. New York City Ferry and SUNY Maritime has a new collaboration that will give the captain and crew access to new facilities. Tatiana Parrish has the story.
Maritime College, the Bronx's signature gym by the sea, adds a new element to their already growing history, teaching you how to steer this. A new collaboration involving NYC Ferry and SUNY Maritime begins its maiden voyage with a 360 full mission bridge simulator, designed to give both current and future captains the real-world experience of operating these NYC Ferry vessels.
The simulation has helped me in a way that you get more familiar with the area and the procedures of, you know, backing out, the whistle signals, and the security calls.
The software is designed to create the look and feel of a real operating bridge. Lunchbox, the name of the simulator ship, is equipped with numerous features ranging from familiarizing ship routes to unpredictable weather conditions.
This is an invaluable tool because anybody who doesn't know how to run a boat or isn't too sure of it, this is the best place to do it, because if you crash into something, there's no consequence.
As I experienced myself, future captains will get the full hands-on experience when it comes to operating these large vessels, a style of teaching that SUNY Maritime supports and provides to their students.
In training these merchant mariners, the big part of what we do is the hands-on education. So, you know, you don't want to have your captains or your first mates going out on a ship not knowing what they're getting into. You know, that's actually not allowed. So we provide a lot of hands-on training. So before the students go out, they'll go into these, you know, virtual experiences where they will get to experiment and learn how to manage in different scenarios.
As both students and captains alike enter the simulator, both SUNY Maritime and NYC Ferry accomplish their goals in innovative education, as well as providing new opportunities in transportation and employment. This is Tatiana Parrish setting sail for BronxNet.
What a great concept. Thank you, Tatiana. Folks, the New York Foundling Organization believes in empowering children and families. One of the things they're known for is providing foster care and family services. More than 600 children are living in the Foundling foster homes and residential facilities throughout the city. Here to discuss the issues of foster care and to promote their Blue Party event, we're going to learn more about that. Please welcome the Assistant Vice President of Foster Care for the New York Foundling, Elizabeth Wright. Nice to have you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Let's back up, talk about foster care in general. Why is it? Why do we need it? How effective is it? And those kinds of things.
Yeah, so it's good to be here to talk about Foster Care Awareness Month. We need foster care to help keep kids safe and to provide some support to families when they're struggling and having a tough time. So we become involved at a point with families when they're pretty vulnerable, and our job is to help get them the services that they need and hopefully reunite families.
Talk to me about the process that takes a child from wherever they were to a point where they need to be a foster child, and then ultimately they get into a home and find parents and change their lives.
Yeah, so New York Foundling is a contract agency from ACS, and ACS will become involved with a family to investigate any kind of allegation of abuse or neglect. If ultimately a decision is made that a child is not safe to remain in their parents' care, they are removed and placed in foster care, Foundling being one of the agencies that services those children. When we become involved, we work to support families in addressing whatever the concerns were that brought the children into care, and our goal is to reunite children as quickly as we can with their parents.
How often does that process happen, that a child goes into foster care and then gets reunited? Seems to me that would be a long distance prospect.
It is far too long, and we're working really hard to shorten that time frame. At Foundling, we have a goal to try to return kids home within 6 to 9 months whenever possible. And we've been pretty successful at it. We used evidence-informed tools to support both our birth parents and our foster parents to keep kids stable while they're in care and to get them home quickly.
I think it's really important to have this conversation because so many of us hear about a story in the news that's upsetting. We hear about either a family that's dysfunctional for any number of reasons, or a child has been abused and all that. And then, at the bottom of the story, they say the children have been, sent to foster care, but we never really know what happens to them. Do you feel like you are kind of getting to all the children who are in need in this way, or is there still a funding issue? Is there still an imperative to say, you know what, we need more attention, we need more funding? I'm going to guess the answer is the latter, but I'll let you weigh in.
Yeah, I agree. Partly why I'm here, right? We want to continue to raise awareness. We always need more funding and support. There are a lot of children and families in need in New York City. And so we're always looking for ways to increase awareness and always increase our pool of foster parents.
Talk about being a foster parent. Who can be a foster parent, who should be a foster parent, and ultimately who becomes a foster parent.
Right. So anyone who has any interest in providing a safe and stable home for children in need should come to us and talk about being a foster parent. A lot of foster parents have shared with me that even raising their own children, it really takes a village, and they've been drawn to be foster parents because they want to provide that support to kids and families in need. Foundling's website, newyorkfoundling.org, offers all the guidelines about becoming a foster parent. Basically, you have to live in New York City, have the space, and be willing to do some basic background checks and medical clearances.
Could you give me kind of a profile of those who have become foster parents, and you would say, wow, they really turned out to be the kind of foster parents we wanted to have? Give me an example. I mean, it would leave names out of it, but you know, who are the people that become good and productive foster parents?
Yeah, it really varies. We have a number of younger foster parents who don't yet have children of their own and want to parent children because they feel for the needs of kids in foster care and want to give back to their community in some way. We have a number of foster parents who have raised their own children, who have sent their children off to college, who are grandparents.
They want more kids,
and they want more kids.
So
they're feeling a little bored. But anyone really who's willing to provide a safe and stable home, and who's willing not just to work with the child in their home, but to really provide support to the family overall. Our goal is reunification whenever possible.
I can understand some people saying, you know, it's not, and they're listening to us now, they're watching us now, and they're saying, it's not a bad idea. We have the time, we have the space, why not do that? But then they say, you know what, I'm a little bit cautious. Who is this stranger that I'm going to let into my life and into my home? Is there, like, how do we reassure them that they're not going to, frankly, get burnt in the long run, and that this is going to be a worthwhile endeavor for everybody involved?
Yeah, I think foster parents far and away feel the rewards of opening up their home to these kids in need. At Foundling, we offer a number of supports for our foster parents. We're available to them 24/7. We offer medical and mental health services on site. We really approach it as a team. So while foster parents are allowing the children in their home, we like to think that they're not alone, that they're working with a team of people to address their needs.
People to talk to, say, hey, this happened, etc.
Right.
I'm tempted to ask you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, although I'm probably going to do that. I'm tempted to ask you to give me an example of a process that worked. Maybe describe the situation of a youngster that you're aware of, combine that with the situation of the family, how that worked, and then, of course, your dream and goal of reunification, how that worked. You got an example in mind that you probably have more than one?
I do, yeah.
All right, great.
It's the day-to-day life. One of my first experiences in foster care, and I'll always remember, we were working with a young mom who had formerly lost her children to adoption. She had lost her rights to her older children, but had a baby who came into foster care, and the child was placed in a home of a foster parent who she had no relationship with.
A baby of what age? I'm sorry?
She was an infant, so the baby came in at birth, yeah.
Wow. Extremely
hard for a parent to have to be separated from their child at the time of birth. The mother had struggled with some mental health issues and some drug addiction. We were able to engage her in services, really work with her.
Gave the original mom in services, okay.
Right, get her the right kind of treatment to help her remain sober and to get her in the right kind of therapy. Along the way, she developed a really beautiful relationship with the foster parent who had raised children of her own and again just wanted to get back to the community, open her home to kids in need. Child returned home within about a year of her placement in care, which is a nice success for us. And what was really nice was that the foster parent and the birth parent maintained a relationship. So 2 years later, that foster parent still has a relationship with the child.
And the child now has a larger community.
Absolutely.
We say it takes a community to raise a child. Now the child has a larger community to
That's
support.
Right.
Wow, that's a lovely story. You mentioned a foster parent. Can it be a single family, a single parent family?
Absolutely.
It can be.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. What is the Blue Party? When is the Blue Party? Who's invited to the Blue Party? Why should we all come to the Blue Party?
The Blue Party is next Wednesday, May 10th. It's
Okay.
Being held at the Bowery Hotel in Manhattan. It's an annual event hosted by our junior board to raise money for foster care services. Everyone is invited. Ticket information is available on the Foundlings website, nyfoundling.org.
nyfoundling.org.
Mm-hmm.
An annual event?
Yes.
Why is it called the Blue Party? I'm just curious.
Blue
Natural question.
Yeah, no, Blue has some significance for foster care, and that's really, you know, it's a big themed event with all different kinds of food and drink and a lot of fun.
Just a guess, you have unfortunately many more children than you have foster parents available for.
Yes.
You want to characterize that in numbers? You know what I'm saying?
I can say on any given day, the average has been 50 or so, sometimes upward of that, children at the Children's Center waiting for placement.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a lot, and so I deliberately asked that question to try and encourage people to, you know, kind of pony up and be part of it and let somebody into your life. Literally change the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, people talk about how can I help, how can I change the world? Well, what better way to do it than to support a child in need? Well, Elizabeth Wright from the Foundling Organization, thank you for the great work you do. We'll invite everybody next Wednesday to get over there, nyfoundling.org. That's how you can get more information. And we appreciate all you do for children and families in New York.
Thank you. Thanks.
We'll take a break, and we'll be back right after with more Open.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
I wish I was in school. If only I had a math test today. I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
They are celebrating 10 years. The Bein' Fit Power Walk helps promote health and wellness to people in our home borough of the Bronx. Here to tell us more about the event, please welcome the director of Bein' Fit, Jessica Reeder. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
and the Marshall Montefiore Community Center After School Director, Tanya Liberita. Nice to have you, Tanya.
Nice to have you.
Ms. Reeder, let's start with you and just define the Be and Fit program. As I said to you during the break, you couldn't have a bigger supporter than me. These are the things we have to do in the Bronx.
Thank you. The Be and Fit Power program has been a long-standing collaboration between the Children's Hospital at Montefiore and the Marshall Montefiore Community Center. And currently we are operating out of PSMS 95, and we do a combined program with medical care provided by the Montefiore School Health Program, where medical health is evaluated by the providers in the clinic. And then we do a lot of our work with wellness exposure in the after-school program, where the kids get exposure to healthy lifestyle education. They do some cooking, they do some physical activity, and it's all on-site at PS 95.
Which is a place that I went to school, I can't even count how many years ago, so I'm well familiar with the facility. Talk to me about how many young people participate, how they get to participate, who should participate. You know, let's really get into who should be there.
So currently the school is serves both elementary and middle school, but the Be and Fit Power program currently, this is our first pilot year in the school, and we're offering the program to all students that are middle school students in the school, and they can come through the program through the after-school program. So we do a big screening in the spring, and we base it on the fitnessgram participation. So we find out how kids are doing in terms of their fitness, and then we invite them to the program, and then they can come to the clinic where they do a medical evaluation. We do some basic blood tests, and we just assess how they're doing in terms of living healthy lifestyles, and then they can go into the after-school program starting in the fall. We start in the fall this year. So
and characterize the numbers. I mean, 1, 10, 20, 100, 500, 40,000. How many?
There are 40. There are 40 students actively participating in Being Fit. They are in activities with about 200 other students, but they are the ones focused on this particular program.
The importance of these kinds of things in the Bronx can't be overstated. Talk to me a little bit, Tanya, about, and I know Marshall Montefiore has a wonderful network of after-school programs. Talk to me about the after-school programs that you run, and then we'll get further into Being Fit.
Well, MMCC has over 50 programs for children in schools.
I'm going to applaud for that.
Our program is, our middle school program is focused more on physical activity and sports and wellness. And it's designed to teach children leadership skills and just basic skills to get them through life, not just middle school, not just to be good at sports, but being good at sports teaches you life skills that you need. It teaches you how to be strategic and how to lose and continue to fight after a loss. And it teaches you
and how to
collaboration.
Win, I gotta say, learning how to win and win
Yes.
with dignity, and you want to
course.
achieve, and we always want to encourage our kids to achieve.
And these are basic life skills that they are acquiring now through our after-school program that they will take on and use.
The benefits of athletics, aside from the athletic part of it, you know, again, can't be overstated. Talk a little bit about how Being Fit fits into, you know, and complements the many things that you do, if you want specifically at PS 95.
Yes, Being Fit complements with our program pretty easily. It fits into our model. We are already doing a leadership program. We're already working with children who want to be active. These children focus their leadership on wellness and wellness in the community, and teaching the skills that they learn at school to their families back home.
Wow. So it's not only the kids, but it radiates.
It radiates. Yes.
What does it take to run this program? I mean, she smiled at me because you don't know the half of it. That's what I was about to get. But really, what does it take to put these kinds of programs together? Because, you know, you, as I said, you got a big advocate in me, and I want to run these everywhere.
I think it takes a lot of...
A village.
A village, yeah. It takes a lot of buy-in. It takes a lot of understanding of, you know, the importance of us really realizing the strengths that each of us brings to the table. So from a hospital perspective, we can bring clinical experience. We understand health and wellness. We understand the risks related to being overweight and cardiovascular disease, the risks of developing diabetes. However, Mosholu, Montefiore Community Center, understands how to engage kids. And so you need an institution that really knows how to create a program where kids really want to come.
So it's a good marriage. Before we run out of time, is it a hard sell to parents?
Parents really want this.
Parents want it.
There are a lot of barriers, and one of our jobs is really to figure out how to really minimize those barriers. So this just happens as part of their natural day-to-day activities. They bring the kids to school, the kids stay in an after-school setting that's healthy, and parents can also come and participate.
All right, so now the Being Fit Power Walk is coming up. You ready you're going to sell it? We're going to bring the kids, we're going to bring the parents. What are we doing?
On May 6th, we are meeting at the Botanical Garden.
All right, beautiful.
At 8 a.m. and bring everyone you want.
8:30 registration. The walk starts at 9 o'clock at the New York Botanical Garden.
And how long a walk?
The walk will be an hour. We're going to have an after-walk celebration.
Great.
We're going to have Hot 97 will be DJing, and we'll be having some entertainers. Our kids will be entertaining us. We'll be having some healthy snacks. It's going to be a gorgeous day.
I'm going to urge my friends and colleagues at BronxNet, make sure we have some cameras there. We want to reinforce, I'm sure we will, we want to reinforce the kids and parents doing really, really important things. And I have to add, I happened to have been at the Botanical Garden yesterday. You couldn't have a more beautiful place to go, especially in the month of May.
We really appreciate it.
Jessica Reeder, thank you so much for all you do for the kids and families of the Bronx. And the same for you, Tanya. Say hello to all my buddies over there at MMCC.
I will.
Thank you.
And folks, get out for the Being Fit Power Walk. And you know what all that means is we have come to the end of our show today. We want to thank all our guests for joining us and the viewers for tuning in. I want to thank my buddy Lindsay, who's such a great producer and put everything together today. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recable cast at 5 and 10 o'clock on Optimum Channel 67, FiOS 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. And guess what? We're not open anymore. We're closed. Have a great day.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
What's up? What's happening today?
Let's go, Pearly Whites, man.
Yeah. The boys, check it out. Stand up to my chair, it's gonna compare us. Go.
Ooh, cute.
Are you good to try?
I'm fine. Hey girl, what's up? What's the name? What's good? What's up?
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing. and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.